to episode 4 of Shy Sox Talk. My name is Chris Gearing, and Matt's back, everybody.
Back and ready for action, folks.
People were worried about you, man. People asked where Matt was.
I'm sure all 25 of them were worried. Possibly less.
What we wanted to do tonight was we had a couple questions from some of our viewers. Kind of wanted to talk about those. We are doing a new segment tonight called the Prospect Report. Matt's gonna pick a prospect every week and kind of introduce us to them, and then we're gonna review some of what Rick Hahn said a couple weeks ago at his interview in the GM meetings over in San Diego. So. First question is a friend of ours from the Pittsburgh area, new to the White Sox, but the big thing I can notice is that they did the rebuild better than the Pirates did. What did they do correctly to get their rebuild where they are now?
I think I kind of start off on that. One thing that sticks out is, and I think this is kind of something that people will ignore and not bring up, but they did have lots of good luck. So the people that they traded for are good. A lot of times you're trading for blue chip prospects and they don't pan out, but it seems like almost all of them have panned out, specifically from the Giolito trade, because you got Lopez resurgence, and then the Chris Sale trade, that's looking great, and then the Quintana trade, you got two studs out of that one. I think Matt Rose too. I'm not sure where he's at. I don't think he's anything good, but you got Dylan Cease and the big baby Eloy Jimenez. So they got the trades they made. The players they got back were great. Injuries, kind of 50-50 on that with injuries, but they got lucky because their trades worked out. But the players they targeted in those trades have panned out, and I think that's the number one thing for that rebuild is the players we got back are good.
I absolutely agree with that. I was a little late to the show. I showed up in 2018 as a Sox fan, but Matt's been here since the beginning of the rebuild, and I would agree with you, man. I mean, their trades are on point. Drafting wise, I think you said it earlier, like Tim Anderson was one of the kind of good draft picks. They did hit on Rodon, I think, but I don't think we're going to see him back. And then you got guys like Nick Madrigal and things like that to the trade who were all right, but you ended up trying to use them for other pieces. So I would agree with you on the trade point. Everything kind of worked out as well as possible for them. Second question from our boy Ben. Who would be your best replacements for Kimbrel and Rodon going into the 2022 season?
So, I mean, for Kimbrel, we're need a setup man. I'm assuming not a closer we're looking at for that question because we got Liam as a setup. I mean, honestly, you could replace his production with the White Sox with anything, really. He was pretty horrible. Pretty god awful for the White Sox. I think who was setting up before him? I mean, was probably Bummer most of the time. He was kind of hurt for a lot of the season, but I think he would be a great setup man. All he does is produce soft contact infield hits, so he's pretty good. I think you could plug him in and replace him, without even going into free agency.
Yeah, I think it was kind of a split show between Crochet, Kopech when he wasn't being used as an opener, and Aaron Bummer. I like Aaron Bummer a lot. I mean, I think Jose Ruiz was more effective than Craig Kimbrel when with the short stint on the south side. So I'm not really too worried about how they can replace his production. I don't think his production really it's going to be lacking. We posted about it today. I would love to see Joe Kelly added. I think that'd be a absolute stud bridge guy. Go from Tempera, or if we get Tempera back, or Crochet to Joe Kelly to Liam Hendricks.
I mean, if Tempera's going to throw like he threw last year, I think he'd be a great setup guy. So, I know he's old and wasn't great for most of his career and kind of had his best year ever last year. But the way he was throwing the ball in the playoffs, he still looked great. So I would love to see the White Sox try and bring him back. I think he could be a setup.
And then for Rodon, do you think we're going to see Rodon back? If not, how do you think they're going to kind of work the rotation next year?
Really interested to see what happens with Carlos Rodon. I personally would love to see him back on the White Sox, just because he's kind of been along for the long haul here with us as fans, and he looked like a bona fide Cy Young contender when he was healthy last year. Really looked like he turned a corner and figured something out. The injury history is, something you really can't look past. As far as replacing him, I think that we'll probably talk about what Rick Hahn said about that. So I think they're planning on him. I know he's not a lefty, but he's going to probably that's who they're planning on replacing that hole with Rodon if they don't bring him back, is with Kopech. But, with Syndergaard going for what, 21 million to the Angels, which is a little bit more than the qualifying offer for Rodon on a 1-year contract. I think those are extremely similar scenarios. Rodon at least pitched last year, so maybe he's worth more in 1 year on a 1-year contract. Honestly, I'd like to see the White Sox go for a multi-year contract and try and bring him back.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think that. I think they looked at his injury history and just weren't willing to commit to 18.4 million that it would be to bring him back. I'd love to see him on like a 2-year, 13 per deal, maybe 12 or 13. But in reality, I could see Rodon going to like the Blue Jays on a 1-year prove it deal because Robbie Ray is probably not going back to Toronto.
Yeah, maybe we'll see Robbie Ray on the South Side. I'd also, wouldn't mind the White Sox making a run at Kershaw. He's got that playoff experience that looked like it was sorely needed by this team. And I know he's got the injury concerns too, but, if he's going to hit free agency and not just be, pretend and actually just go back to the Dodgers, that's the kind of guy you'd like to take a flyer on.
And Kershaw, a lot of people think he's a lot older than he's the same age as DeGrom. He's 33. I think he's going to be 34 next year, or he just turned 33. But he was a rookie when he was 20. He's been pitching in the league for 13 years, bunch of experience in the playoffs, a World Series underneath his belt. I would love to see them. I would love to see them take a risk on a multi-year deal with Clayton Kershaw than Carlos Rodon.
Yeah, I was shocked to see how relatively young Clayton Kershaw was, because we've been watching him pitch for what seems like 2 decades, but he came up when he was young, so he hopefully has a couple more years left in that arm still.
Yeah, I'd imagine it. I mean, he's won like an MVP, right? He won an MVP, right?
I think
Cy
so.
Young? Yeah, a couple Cy Youngs. And then last question from a friend on Instagram, MLB Genius. How do we feel about Andrew Vaughn going forward, and what should the White Sox do with him?
I think Andrew Vaughn definitely needs to be in your plans from today and the next 7 to 10 years. I think he's going to be a really good player in Major League Baseball. He showed some versatility, so he looked pretty decent in left field. I don't know what the advanced stats or scouts say about him in left field, but from my eye, and I'm not a pro scout or anything, he can handle it. I don't know if you want him out there every day, but that versatility in the field is pretty impressive and very useful for a guy like Tony La Russa. And that swing is beautiful that he has, just an absolute gorgeous technical swing. He looked like he hit his stride a little bit for a couple of months. Then, he's just a rookie. He's never seen Major League Baseball pitching before. So he was very impressive to me, having almost, no time in the minors, with it being like COVID and all that stuff. Last year, he really didn't get a lot of time to refine his hitting tool, and they kind of just threw him to the wolves. And I think he looked pretty good for not getting any at bats previously. I think he's a building block moving forward. He should be replacing Pito at first base at some point, and maybe you got to start playing Jose Abreu at DH a little more. So I believe Andrew Vaughn's supposed to have a pretty good glove too at first base.
Yeah, I mean, for somebody who went from single A to the alternate training site to, to the majors like that, I think he had a really awesome season. I mean, I'd give him like a B plus for what he did this year. If I was looking at, I guess he's still a prospect. He might not be. Some people might not consider him a prospect, right? Is he a prospect still?
I guess it depends on whose list you're looking at.
But prospect wise or building block wise, there's a few untouchables for me personally with the White Sox, like Luis Robert. Definitely, I mean, you never get the kind of value back for him, but also Andrew Vaughn. I don't see a trade where, we get value back in Vaughn. I mean, Pito, love him, but he's 35. Don't know if he could fight off Father Time for another year or two, but if you trade away Vaughn, you don't really have a succession plan there at first base anymore. Maybe Gavin Sheets, but I mean, I think Vaughn's going to be the all-star first baseman here for the White Sox, probably moving forward for the next, like you said, 7-10 years.
Yeah, and I feel like Andrew Vaughn just kind of got ripped by his coaches at Cal, having him at first base. I mean, how much higher would his stock value have been if he was playing left field with those hitting numbers?
He came out of nowhere, man. I mean, like never ever played anywhere other than the first base. What was it? Three games, 2 spring games left, and they're like, "Hey, go on out there and see if you can just kind of figure it out."
Maybe they should see if he can play second base.
I mean, if you can play second base, let's go. Give that.
Yeah,
Give
I think that's a little more challenging than left field, but.
Hey, I heard Jake Berger dropped like 50 pounds or something. Had a couple less cheeseburgers,
Yeah, I know they tried him at second base too, but I'm interested to see Jake Berger where he's going to fit in the future because he's got a lot of power in his bat, and I liked him coming out of college.
I like Jake Berger a lot. I just gut feeling, it got into my head kind of moment. I don't think we're ever going to see him on the south side. That's like a sort of. I think he's going to be a trade piece, unfortunately. You got Yohan, and Yohan, I don't stand for the Yohan slander. He's a top 5 third baseman.
Yeah, I think we should do maybe a whole episode on Yohan Moncada.
And I am in for an entire Yohan
I think we should
right there.
Yeah, I think we should do a whole one.
But yeah, 2022 season, Vaughn, I'd like to see him at like the days where they're facing a lefty. Pito should DH, Vaughn should start at first, and then Pito and Vaughn should just split starts against righties at first base all season, and just 2022 should probably be the start of the switch, I think.
Yeah, no, I'm game for that. They need to kind of start planning for the future there at first base, which is sad to say because we all love Jose Abreu.
Yeah. Jose, longest tenured Sox currently, if Larry doesn't come back. So.
And I don't think Leary's coming back.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna be seeing him back. Maybe Chris Taylor though. Maybe Larry and juiced. All right, Matt, your segment here, prospect report. Who do you got for us tonight?
Yeah, so kind of the reason we're starting this prospect thing. At least we have a little bit of news to kind of talk about, or not so much news, but I was reading an article out of The Athletic about Jose Contreras mentoring a young Cuban pitcher the White Sox just signed in the most recent international signing period, Norge Vera, Cuban prospect. When the White Sox got him, I think he was 6'4", about 185 pounds. According to Jose Contreras, who's an advisor for the White Sox now, he is 6'6", 210. So he's grown a little bit, put on a little bit of weight, and he's barely throwing fireballs. So he's got it up to fastball up to 101 miles per hour. And some people are saying that he's going to be the top-ranked prospect, not only pitcher, but the top-ranked prospect in the White Sox farm system after this season. That's the kind of talent we're seeing with this kid. I think he's like 20 years old. Might be a little bit older than that now. But I was just pretty interested reading this article. Jose Contreras is kind of taking him under his wing. I think he's living with them down in Atlanta. Jose Contreras played on the Cuban national team with Norge Vera's father of the same name, so they're kind of buds, and he sees so much in him, that's similar to his father, and Jose Contreras is kind of mentoring him, which is pretty cool. With him being a former White Sox 2005 World Series champion, linchpin of that rotation, kind of taking him under his wing and teaching him some things to acclimate, because it's different for a Cuban player coming to the United States. It's not like just like a kid getting drafted out of college coming into the majors. It's a whole culture shock. You're kind of leaving everyone behind. Most of the time, you don't speak the same language as your teammates, and he's kind of trying to help him assimilate in a way that he didn't have when he came up with the Yankees. He was about 32 and was a veteran, and he said that I turned down like tips and training from people because I kind of thought I had it already figured out, and he did kind of struggle a little bit. I think with the Yankees for a bit. So it's just pretty pumped about hearing what Jose Contreras has to say about this kid, because it sounds like he's got like 7 different pitches that he has control over, and he's working on a forkball with Jose Contreras, which Jose Contreras is like, that's probably one of his ace pitches that he was known for back in the day. It's just a pretty cool story that I read, and super interested to see this kid, because he was, he's throwing 101 miles per hour, and I think that's pretty nice for the future.
Yeah, looking at it here, MILB.com has him at 19. Has his line for the Dominican Summer League. 19 innings pitched, no earned, 5 walks, 34 Ks, and a .74 WHIP. It's pretty good for a 19-year-old kid. If you're going to take a shot in the dark here, what's the floor? What's the ceiling? You think it's going to be for him?
I mean, from what I'm reading, I think he's going to be like the ceiling on him is like a top end starter. The floor, I think, with any international prospect is never even touching the majors. Sometimes that for whatever reason that talent from Cuba doesn't transfer over 1-to-1 every time. You've seen that with guys like Dan Viciedo. He was a huge power hitter when the White Sox signed him from Cuba. He made it into the league, but I think he really only played. I don't think he would have really played anywhere else in the majors, other than the White Sox. And his power was there, but he just was not even close to the player that they thought they were getting. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have guys like Jose Abreu, who are possibly even better in the majors than they were in Cuba in some aspects. Where they really pan out and reach their potential, but I think it spans the whole spectrum with this kid from just what I'm reading, and I'm no expert, so I mean that's just my layman opinion.
We are experts, Matt. We are experts. Yeah, no, I mean it's always awesome to hear more talent from Cuba. I think it's cool that Jose Abreu is a White Sox player, and I think that definitely plays a factor in with the White Sox having a lot of Cuban talent right now. But with everybody who's graduated to the pros, it's always awesome to hear that the White Sox farm system's always already building again.
Yeah, in Cuba, Jose Abreu comes and delivers presents on Christmas, not Santa Claus. So
not old St. Nicholas.
At least that's my understanding of how it goes.
It's a good point, man. That's a good point. Any parting words for our first prospect that you'd like to leave anybody with?
I'm just really excited to kind of see what the future brings with him and see what kind of player he grows into. I just think it's really cool that Jose Contreras is kind of his mentor on it. It's pretty neat. One of the parts of the story was how Minnie Minoso kind of said to Jose Contreras, toward the end of his career is, play as long as you possibly can until your body breaks down. You can't do it anymore because, baseball's like life. So just have it be your life. And it's cool that Jose Contreras is like still part of baseball and kind of living up to that advice. Pretty neat.
That is an awesome story. Hopefully we see him, You know what? ETA 2024. Get him in there as an ace. Why not?
Yeah, I have no idea what the ETA is on him. But from what I read in that article, and the research I've done after reading that, is he looks like he's pretty good and has pretty good control on his pitches. So, he's throwing strikes, which is pretty important.
Let's just bring him up to replace Dallas Keuchel. Nothing could be there. He's got to be better. It's got to be better. There's nothing that can be worse than that.
Right. There's like no way that Keuchel's going to just like be good again, right? He's done.
Yeah. I mean, I saw something where it was like a lot of his career has been like bad year, really good year, bad year. But I don't see a really good year on the horizon.
He just stopped throwing strikes. He
Yeah.
could not throw strikes last year, when he did, they got smashed.
Meatballs over the middle. They weren't hit soft, though they were rough.
Yeah, hard contact a lot.
And he made one relief appearance and gave up 3 runs.
He won the Gold Glove though. He's pretty good. He's a hell of a defender out there.
Hey, you know what? Maybe we can put him at second base. Maybe we play second.
See if he's got a bat.
Maybe. Who knows, man? So Rickon spoke to the media a couple weeks ago, back at the GM meetings in San Diego. So there's just some interesting stuff that kind of tweeted out during that. Somebody asked him about Carlos Rodon. He kind of said something kind of short, kind of vague. Said he would be great to figure out a way to find would be great to figure out a way to bring him back next year. Kind of thoughts on that? Do you think that's a little too vague where probably not going to happen?
I feel like if they were 100% in on saying, hey, best of luck to you, we love what you did for us, have fun playing for another team, they would have said that. I feel like at least Rick Hahn would have said that. So I think, maybe they're going to try and bring him back, but that might mean they're going to try and bring him back for like $5 million a year, like not even a chance. So I don't know. I think you kind of got to take that with a grain of salt, but also it seems like you left the door open to, bringing him back. And I would like to bring him back, but I don't know if that's actually going to be the best idea.
Yeah. I don't know. The 18.4, obviously the qualifying offer was too much in their mind. And I think if he gets a deal, it's probably going to be a big money deal. It's going to be like a 1-year prove-it deal, somewhere that they're losing a pitcher.
Yeah, and with wanting to bring Rodon back, I think my bias really shows there because, I've been watching him pitch since the White Sox drafted him, and it was amazing to see it finally all come together. Like the guy that they thought they drafted, last year he pitched better than they thought he would ever pitch. Like you don't draft a guy. You might hope he wins a Cy Young or two, but you don't draft a guy thinking he's going to win the Cy Young. And if he would have not got hurt, I think he probably would have won the Cy Young. And it was really awesome to finally see him put together. And then he fell apart at the end of the year and got injured. So kind of same story over and over again with him.
Yeah, cool story. Hope he comes back. If they bring him back, pitch limit, never probably season past the 5th inning until late September, early October rolls around. He was asked about the intent to move Kopech into the rotation. They said that he is determined to put him there, and nothing. Noting that it will create a gap in the bullpen, but they want him in the starting rotation. They traded for him as a starter. They saw him as a starter in 2018. How do you think they're going to kind of manage Kopech?
I don't even know if he's going to be on an innings limit, if they're just going to pop him in as a starter. I think if he's coming in, he's there. He's the starter. No babying him, no innings limits or anything like that, or pitch limits. I think they'll be full go with it. I'm excited about it. I thought he looked great at times last year. The movement on his pitches are insane. He's super intense, like super intense guy. I remember watching him pitch when he got called up, I was at the game, the first game he got called up, and it was not a large crowd, really small crowd to watch it, but the crowd was electric when he was striking people out. So I think the fan base is really excited to see him, and I'm excited to see what he can do as a starter, and hopefully he kind of just lights it up. Seems like when he opened a few games, he looked pretty good when he did that. So I'm interested to see, how well he can kind of pull together for a full season.
He had 4 openers this past year. I think he gave up 2 earned in it. I think really in the 4 games, it was a total of like 16 innings, maybe 15. I've thought about this since kind of, Rick Hahn said this. Really, the only time I could see him maybe on a pitch limit or end limit was right off the gate, in a situation where maybe he goes 3 or 4, and then they go and try to use it as a chance to maybe stretch Crochet out a little bit. But after that, after month 1, I think we see him go, full tilt. Do we see any complete games? I don't think probably until the end of the season. But he is nasty. He is an ace, and him, Dylan Cease, and Lucas Giolito are going to be. Well, I mean, Lance Lynn's obviously in there, but those 3 are a really, really good young core for this pitching staff.
Yeah, and I feel like you kind of have to get a lefty in there, but I would have to look at. Are there any teams that are just like all righties? I feel like there's got to be a couple at least.
Let's see. Let's find out. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think. I mean, I don't know if the Pirates have a lefty. Miami has a ton of righties. I don't think they have a lefty in that staff. I think those are probably the only 2 teams. Pittsburgh might have 1 lefty, but I think Miami up and down the staff there has all righties.
I mean, if they're bringing Kopech up, they might just have to have Dallas be the lefty.
I could see a situation where Dallas and Raylo are split in that 5th spot. So maybe Dallas goes 1 or 2, or Raylo goes 1 or 2, and then they kind of just start piggybacking each other. I think that's probably like the only real way we kind of see Dallas Keuchel if he's still around.
That's an interesting scenario.
Also, I'm a liar. There are no current all right-handed pitching staff, so apologize. I'm a liar. Yeah, I mean, Michael Kopech. I can't wait to see him just go out as a starter and just. I mean, when he was an opener, it looked like it was a completely different pitcher than when he was coming out of the bullpen.
And I mean, he looked pretty good for a couple months straight. Actually, probably right before I think he got hurt a little bit, and then he struggled a little bit after that. But he looked lights out before he got hurt.
Yeah, he hurt his hamstring. He was averaging 2 in the 3rd innings per outing before his hurt.
Didn't he? Sorry, right? He pitched and he landed really weird.
There was like a hole in the mount, and he hurt his hamstring.
It looked like someone shot him.
Yeah.
I remember that now.
And then after that, he was averaging 1 2/3. So 2 less outs, but a little bit of a drop. But I think maybe they're just trying to keep him fresh to use him in the postseason. So not really quite sure. But no, pumped about him for sure. He was asked about Garrett Crochet as a starter long term. Wouldn't commit to what his role in 2022 yet is. I think Garrett Crochet is 1 year behind Michael Kopech. I think this is going to be a season where they use him as an opener and double headers, stretch him out a little bit, and then we kind of see him as that full-time lefty starting in 2023.
Yeah, sorry, muted myself there for a second. So with Crochet, maybe that's your lefty you're bringing up. Maybe that's why you're playing that a little close to the chest. Try to see if you can maybe get a deal on a lefty for cheap, but in your back pocket or up your sleeve, you got Crochet who you're planning on starting. I think the goal ultimately is for him to start. I think that's why we've seen him not throwing it like 102 miles per hour. last year. I hope that's why, or maybe he like completely destroyed his arm in that playoff game and no one ever said anything about it. But I mean, he had some nasty pitches last year. He can throw fireballs. If he really needs to hum one in there, he can get it up to 100, 102 with control, and that's coming from the left side. So he's pretty good. I mean, we'll see what happens. I think we'll find out pretty shortly based on who's getting signed and what Rick Hahn says. But I'd like to see him as a starter. I don't know if that's this year, but he was pretty good out of the pen last year. But ultimately I want to see him as a starter.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now he's just kind of a fastball slider guy. Does he have a third pitch that he kind of relays, like a changeup, I think? But I mean, to be a starter, you need that third pitch, right? At least something to throw in there.
Yeah, I mean, it worked for Lucas Giolito throwing kind of just fastball changeup 2 seasons ago. This season, people kind of just started sitting on the changeup, so he gave up a couple more home runs. But then he started, throwing in that slider a lot more. Not a ton, but a lot more than previously. And then he even kind of added the curveball, which he always had. He kind of lost it for a couple of years. I know that was like one of his top pitches as a prospect. And he kind of ditched it, but he kind of dropped that in I think 5% of the time or something this year. So I'm sure Ethan Katz can work with Crochet and find another pitch that works good for him.
Yeah, excited about Crochet. I mean,
I think Kopech had the same issue, kind of just being fastball slider as well, and I think they're working on some more pitches for him too.
I read about Kopech was they were working on a curveball with him. So for like his third pitch, and then I think everybody has some kind of variation of a changeup in there.
The old Uncle Charlie,
when you got a 99-mile-per-hour fastball that rises, I don't. I mean, good luck hitting anything out of Kopech.
Yeah, absolutely. They got the speed, they got the absolute gas to work off of. So it's a good advantage to be working from that spot.
Somebody asked him about the coaching staff. LaRussa and the coaching staff will all be returned for 2022. I kind of had a feeling LaRussa was going to stick around. One thing I, wouldn't hate seeing is maybe a new hitting coach. Kind of philosophy right now is they don't care too much for the long ball, and I'm kind of in the thought that ball go far, team go far. Thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of agree with that too, but at the same time, did their home run numbers really drop off a lot this year? If you account for injuries.
Yeah, I mean,
Eloy's out of the lineup for almost the whole season, and Lewis Roberts, so that's like 60 home runs.
I mean, yeah, you're probably right on that.
Maybe even more. So
they just hit into.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say they just hit into so many double plays. I felt like that was I think they hit in more than anybody else, and that killed so many innings.
Yeah, they did pound the ball to second base and shortstop a lot. Especially, I felt like toward the end of the season they were grounded out all the time.
And I
really know how much. I don't know how much a hitting coach fixes that though.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't really know what a hitting coach, I guess, would do to get teams to stop grounding out of. I mean, some of it might have just been luck. Like that triple play against the Yankees, Vaughn smoked that down the third base line. It was just turned. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would love to see a different manager than LaRussa. I don't. That's not going to happen though.
I don't think anyone's surprised that Tony and the crew are coming back. I think we were maybe hoping that some sort of, for whatever reason, he would decide not to come back. But I think pretty much everyone was not surprised with that news.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Maybe we'll have a LaRussa offseason story that changes that.
I doubt it. It didn't last year, so.
And somebody asked him about what he thought. Said we didn't win the final game of this postseason. Didn't meet our ultimate goal. We can't be satisfied, and that you need multiple shots of the goal and in order to score. So, um, kind of sounds like he's trying to build for a long term run at this thing rather than maybe pushing the chips in all in for this next season.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what you're expecting your GM to say, and at least he checked the box on that and said the right thing. I personally, as a fan of the White Sox, am very happy and pleased with the team making the playoffs twice in a row for the first time ever. um, you know, I'm a fan though, so I'm allowed to have that mindset. I've been watching them for majority of my life, and it was great to see him make the playoffs 2 years in a row.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with it. They're young. Like, I get the the talent that they have, and no good team is going to say, oh, we want to just win the division, just make the postseason, just win the ALCS. So, you kind of always got to be like, hey, we're gonna win the World Series this go every year. But I mean, as a fan, it was a fun season. They won a ton. You got some playoff experience in there. I think overall, the season was a success. They got plenty of depth to make a couple more runs at it.
Yeah, they're young and they're primed to kind of make a lot of noise, for the next couple of years. I think the division will be a little more competitive this coming season. The Tigers have some young guys that are probably going to be looking good and getting better. The Royals have some players. I think Cleveland might, as many times as you think that they're going to just suck when they should. They like turn everyone into a Cy Young contender somehow. I don't understand how every pitcher just, you go to Cleveland and you figure it out, and then you leave Cleveland and you do not figure it out. It's crazy. So I'm sure they'll still be competitive. Interested to see what the Tigers look like, because I think they have some good players that I like on their squad. And the Twins are dead, so I think they're bottom feeders.
Good. It's always good to see the Twins dead. Any season with Twins dead, successful season. Do you think it's going to help the White Sox? Having somebody like the Tigers or Royals kind of push them down towards the end of the season, where it's not the All-Star break and they kind of have the division wrapped up. They kind of got to keep playing there in the last 90 days of the year.
Yeah, I do think playing tougher competition in the division is going to be kind of, iron sharpens iron type of scenario. I think this year it was good that the White Sox got the coast, because they had just the, two of their biggest hitters injured, and they, are kind of a young team, and you kind of just got to start making the playoffs. You're a young team. You got to just start winning World Series. You got to start making the playoffs. You got to win series. To make the playoffs, you got to win series. To win series, you got to win games. Things like that. So it's kind of like a learning season for the White Sox. And I think it was a good thing that they kind of got to just beat the shit out of some teams all year. They basically buried the Twins in the first 2 months, which was awesome. And then so hopefully next year they start really competing against those better teams.
And I mean, for as good as they were at home too, they were the best home team in the American League. Not really sure what the difference was. Maybe on the road, maybe just sleeping.
It's because they had me cheering them on for about 10 games.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody was allowed back in. I can't wait. Can't wait for that partial season ticket next year, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think I think this team's really young. They're really good, and they're gonna win at least one, maybe even two. I think they're really good. I mean,
everyone thought the Cubs were going to win like 3 in a row, and that didn't happen. And that team looked like they should have been able to do it. So you never know. You never know in baseball. There's been better teams that like how many of those Mariners teams with Ichiro Suzuki you thought were going to, thought for sure they were going to win it, or even when they had Ken Griffey Jr. and Alex Rodriguez and Randy Johnson and Jay Buhner, and they never won anything. So don't count the chickens before they hatch, I believe they say on the farm.
We do say that out in the farm country. Well, the Cubs didn't win more than one because the Cubs are bad people. But that's going to be a different episode.
That's true. Just because of the Cubs.
Yeah, man, I think that covers everything we wanted to talk about tonight. Do you have any parting words?
No, not really. I think we had a good chat today. Pretty interesting topics. Not a lot of free agent news to talk about. Hopefully, I've been reading that everyone's trying to get things settled before December 1st because I think the CBA expires then. So it's going to be an off-season lockout, which is I don't really understand how that's going to work. But hopefully we have some cool free agent stuff to talk about. We already lost out on Verlander. I know Bob Nightingale was reporting that the Sox were in on that, and then about 30 minutes later, he signed with the Astros. I don't know. Hopefully we have some more fun off-season topics to chat about.
Yeah, he turned down his qualifying offer at 4:59 and signed a 1-year, $25 million contract at 5:00. So I mean, what are you supposed to do then? You got 60 seconds to call the guy.
Guess he wanted to stay in Houston for whatever reason.
Hey, you know what? An aging Verlander, 25 mil, keep him.
I would have given him 25. I would have given him 30 mil.
30 mil? Okay, ready for this? Kershaw, better or worse?
Than Verlander?
Yeah, right now, today.
I don't know.
UC Kikuchi.
Verlander.
Rodon.
Verlander.
All right, this experiment's gone bad. It's gone south quick.
I think Verlander over all those guys.
Hey, you know what? Yeah, probably. You're probably right.
He's a stud. He's like Roger Clemens. He's gonna pitch until he's 50.
I'm just trying not to be so sad.
I'm glad he didn't sign with the Tigers.
Oh, that would have been brutal. You know, all the 2014 rotation, they've all won a Cy Young.
Yeah.
All 5 of them.
That's pretty
And
crazy.
none of them with the Tigers. Not one with the Tigers.
They made the World Series, though, with a couple of those guys. They were pretty good. They had a little run in them.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, man. Well, go Sox. And thanks to everybody who listens and interacts with us on Instagram. I'll link everything down below. And, yeah, go White Sox, man.
Go White Sox, everyone.
See ya.
Everyone get on the bandwagon. Let's go.
Let's party on the bandwagon, folks.
Seriously, we're all partying. It's a party. Let's go.
Goose Island party.
As Brian Goodwin says, party. Let's all get wasted.
And we're
Peace out.
Peace.